Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Jimmy Dore Show. I'm here with Ben Mankiewicz from Turner Classic Movies, and we're going to talk today about what was the problem in Barack Obama's first administration. Why was there such gridlock in Washington? A lot of people would say that it would unprecedented amount of filibusters, that the Republicans just decided that their main order of business was not governing or helping to solve problems, but making Barack Obama look bad so they could beat him in the next election, which is what Mitch McConnell said, right?
Yeah, they actually said it. They don't need to speculate about it.
Yeah, we're not he said their number one concern, or their number one job, was to make sure Barack Obama wasn't reelected. Jim DeMint said the health care bill could be his water. And you know, it's funny.
They all signed a pledge that said we will not negotiate under any circumstances. I mean, what are we talking about? Yeah.
So a lot of people who see that situation for what it is see that Chrystia Freeland, she's the head of Reuters, Reuters, much needed news source. She's the head of Reuters. Here's what she thinks is the problem. She was on with Ezra Klein on Rachel Maddow. Let's listen, shall we?
Since the election, despite the hostility, despite the feeling of somewhat betrayal on the part of the White House, he's been going to business group after business group, having business leaders over to the White House. Is that paying any dividends, or people is there any calming of those passions because of that diplomacy tour?
Sure. I think it really matters. And, you know, business people, believe it or not, are human beings too, and they like to be paid attention to. They especially like to be paid attention to by the president. So, yeah, I think it makes a big difference. And I do actually think the president is partly to blame for that extreme hostility in his first term, because he didn't do some of the basic, meet and greet stuff that actually is the job of a political leader. He's making up a little bit for that now.
Yeah, so President Obama gave them trillions of dollars in interest-free money, bailed them out, didn't send any of them to prison, but they didn't get what they really wanted: love. That's all they really want.
I didn't realize that we were talking about America's business elite, because it sounded like we were talking about Rob Kardashian not being able to get into the VIP lounge at Boulevard 3.
Yeah, that's what I love about this idea that somehow the business leaders of America and the politicians in Congress, they're not going to do what's best for the country because the president didn't kiss their ass enough, right? What are they? He didn't ask me to prom, so I don't care. Nobody gets health care.
Yeah. You got bailed out and you walk the streets as free men now.
Yes. Wall Street, they're just like everybody else. They need a little stroking, a little respect, and $1 billion Christmas bonus.
Yeah. Then they're fine.
What happened was the Wall Street guys, they just got a little spoiled by 40 years of presidents kissing their asses. And so what Chrystia Freeland says is that President Obama needs to kiss people. The president of the freaking United States needs to kiss other politicians' asses so they feel comfortable and get enough attention so they'll do stuff. Let me just tell you, I don't know if you've ever met these Wall Street people, but the idea that America has to suck the dicks of these coke-addicted nymphomaniacs who spend their lunch hours at strip clubs, who have turned investment banking into a fucking casino. Yeah, I get a little worked up about it, okay? And people say, they go, Jimmy, you get a little worked up about it. I'm sorry I get upset about how our economy is screwed over people and it is crushing the retirement and health care of working people. I try to save most of my anger for stuff that's important, like Hollywood award shows and sports.
There's such a way for Chrystia Freelander to frame that argument, because there's probably some truth to it, right? That isn't it ridiculous that Obama still has to do this sort of stroking and massaging of these guys who he gave billions of dollars to, who he extended the tax breaks of, and yet they were still obstinate and still opposed him, and he has to go back and do this now. I guess he has to, she could say, but it seems silly.
Yes, she doesn't make that point. She makes the point that President Obama didn't do what he was supposed to, and so they screwed the country.
Republicans said they would never negotiate with him on anything. They wouldn't raise taxes under any circumstances. They only want to see him defeated no matter the cost to the country. But he didn't have the meetings. Equal. Explain for everybody.
Equal. He didn't send them flowers.
Yep.
Jag off.